what a deal, what a deal. Hey guys, it's Jax, and I've got a problem. Good morning. Why am I carrying a load bar? We used it yesterday in our loading techniques, and it's cleaning out old Rooster's pickup. So anyway, pulled the dipstick on the old Suburban for the tranny. Does not smell good. Smells kind of like a rubber tire caught on fire, and then it mixed with a moth, and then got some gear oil, and they all got together and smoked into a smoke. The smell that's created from those three things together in a smoke is kind of what the oil smelled like. Wouldn't you say, Jimbo? Is that
sounds about right?
Is that an accurate? I like to try to illustrate for you guys. I try to paint the picture with my words. So a burning tire mixed with a moth, mixed with gear oil, all turned into a essential oil and put into a diffuser and sprayed through the house. That's what the transmission oil smells like in the Suburban. So I hate to say it, but the old burb is probably gonna go the way of the buffalo. You guys know me, I'm very simple and like simple and cheap. I shouldn't say cheap. Frugal, that's the word. I'm not cheap, I like quality things, but I'm frugal. Like genuine Detroit parts, genuine diesel mechanic. Like, you know what I'm saying? So probably gonna have to break down and start vehicle shopping soon, which I hate. That's one upside to the economy crashing, is that maybe somebody's needing to get rid of their gas guzzling Suburban or something pretty bad. So anyway, today's gonna be kind of a catch-up day. We're a little behind. Would you feel a little bit behind, Jimmy? Or you think we're all right? Maybe just a touch behind from our struggles yesterday. Oh yeah, that's right. We were missing O-rings, which showed up in the mail from Wyoming. Right? We're gonna blame it all on 6 rubber O-rings. But anyway, I want to show you guys one more thing here before we get started today. Check this out. So, genuine Detroit parts. That's the Reliabuilt Detroit symbol. Made in China. Now, I know the first thought with being made in China is, it's gotta be junk, it's made in China. But hear me out here. I don't think that we often realize that China they have to have quality stuff. Like, there has to be a Snap-on equivalent for tools in China. Like, somebody in China is making Snap-on equivalent quality tools. So my guess is that with Detroit sourcing their genuine Detroit parts out of China, my hope is, and you don't tell me otherwise because this is what I'm hanging my hat on, okay? So if this is wrong, you be quiet and don't tell me. But my thought is that this is actually some of the quality stuff, because China typically ships over here all the junk of the junk, the cheapest of the junk of the junk. That's why it always falls apart so fast. And that's why you can afford to ship it clear over here and buy it. These, however, must be made from some finer ore. Ore. Anyway, that's my hope. James is smiling over there. Shh. Don't even say it. Don't even say it. So, anyway, good stuff. We're gonna get after it. I'm gonna learn today how to rebuild. Check it out. What you got there, Jimbus?
Got some rock arm assembled.
Those are the new beauties. Now, what updates did we find with this?
We got new updated buttons.
From the old ones, buttons. So these ones are like that. Mm-hmm. The old ones have these little clips, which looks just like they're begging to fall off and do some damage.
Different rollers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't metal, are they?
Mm-hmm. Don't drop them.
Okay. Deal. I won't. See, the old ones are metal.
The injector one.
The injector. Do you know what this is made out of? I don't know. Who knows? It's made out of something. You guys are gonna catch a rare moment where 2 cameras are recording each other. They don't really know what to do. It's like 2 ships passing in the night. What do we do? The editor will have fun with that one. Good luck, Matt. Anyways, that's good. So we like that update. We like that. This is probably a good thing, apparently. And
Hopefully it's an update. Not
you made
backwards.
yeah. What's the opposite of an update? Is there a word for that? D-rate. Yeah. Sweet. All right, on to the next. What are we doing?
We're getting ready to sand the Barzone down.
Okay, so we put that Belzona down in there, you guys, and we let it cure overnight because we were getting parts. You can see it down in there. So he's gonna refinish that now to fix that electrolysis. I went through earlier and tapped out all these head bolts. There's like 1.5 million of them, 1.5 million. And so them are clean. Once this is shaped, we're not too far from dropping, right?
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Micrometer says so.
What?
The micrometer.
Hold on, now hold on. What is an micrometer?
You don't have an micrometer? I do.
An micrometer. An micrometer! Oh, I get it now. I'm a little slow sometimes, but I got, did you get it? Did you get it? Micrometer. Whew.
Little did I know that time would take us to a place where love could grow, but in a different way. Bigger than they think.
You guys look who showed up in the old shop. Old Rooster. Just fresh from the chiropractor?
Yeah, and I'm ready to go fence. I'm feeling, I wouldn't say spry, but I can move a little bit.
Yeah. Did they get your thing fixed?
Yeah.
Just like
Just some rib was out of place a little bit.
came over, was like, I can't really breathe very good. I gotta go to the chiropractor before I go move cows and fix fence. Rooster's actually the only one in this family that's had to overhaul an engine. So, how many did you overhaul? Do you know? In your days?
2.
You had 2 overhauls then? Is that with Old Blue or does that include Blue 2?
Old blue and blue 2. Old blue once and blue 2. When we
Blue
rebuilt it.
Okay. I told you this was the original engine from 99.
Yeah,
The
that's
liners
crazy,
were
isn't it?
old. Yeah. Which ironically, 99 was the year you procured Blue 2
Blue 2.
and brought it up in 2000. And did the deal, so.
So maybe you ought to name this blue 3 and paint it blue.
Should we paint it blue and make it blue 3?
Blue 4.
Blue 4? We just name everything blue, even the dogs around here. Everything's blue. Yeah, right on.
Did I know that time would take us to a place where love could grow, but in a different way. Bigger than they think.
You guys want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Are you doing it to you too? I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but I'm getting like the willies. And James just, oh yeah, ain't no thing. That's worse than nails. I think it's worse. It's like, I think it carries farther.
Dreaming of where we could be from the back of your dad's red truck. Those days we were invincible. Splitting up would be unthinkable. Though at times it made me cynical, I wouldn't change a single thing.
The speck of dirt right here throw off the whole liner project.
Oh, you mean Detroit's just handle the wear and tear better than most?
Yeah, they have a little bit more.
See, a cat, if you had the shop doors open over there, allowing dust into the environment, a caterpillar would be like, oh, no, I can't have a little dirt on my, I can't have a little bit of dirt on my skirt. And Detroit's like, just bring it on, I don't care what you use. You can use mud to lubricate my O-rings, I don't care.
No, people don't do that.
I'm a little Detroit, and I need to be very clean and precious. Please be so tender as you lubricate my O-rings, please. I'm a little caterpillar. I'll turn into a beautiful butterfly one day. Detroit's like, no, someday I hope to be a grizzly bear. That's the way. The final?
Yes, sir. But we don't talk about that yet. We're not done. As long as they don't pop up, I'm good. What?
Y'all, so that's liners in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's time for Jimmy to pick up sticks. It's pretty good. It's not bad off the cuff, you know. Still got it. So I think next up, what do we got? So, we got to get the head ready. Got a couple things to swap over, and can do some lubricating. Oh yeah.
A little much. Whoops.
We'll get some stuff moved across, and it's about lunchtime. I'm gonna go record a quick podcast episode while we're waiting on lunch, and get back this afternoon and see what kind of mayhem we can wrap up.
The gravity strikes again. Yes, I know.
Minutes later, it was rusted. Where he just.
This is how it works, Jackson.
Oh, look at it go! Oh, put. Look at that Detroit power coming around.
Sorry about the video.
This is one of those videos that I think people would just watch because it's like satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Just pistons going up and down.
TDC.
So we're trying to find top dead center exactly so we get this timing dead on. Just watch for when that needle starts moving backwards. Right there? Or we just run out of stroke? There it is. Dude, that's smart. Water down because that should help the skid steer have a little more precision so the wheels can spin easier. Okay, so our little hang up is we're gonna be able to drop the head down, but the hood is gonna hit the mount on the skid steer first. So we're gonna undo these little poppers, and then should lay the hood over better, and then I think we'll have enough clearance to get in. So me and Jim have been slaving away. These head bolts, 220 foot-pounds of torque, which for lean guys, wiry fellas, you know, there's 37 head bolts on a Series 60. We're about a third of the way through and starting to weaken. And they said, Jimmy Dean, hold on. After he had already asked me, do you have a 3/4 to 1/2 inch adapter? I said, no. But after I was turning the wrench for a while, guess what? Something sparked in my memory. And I realized, ahoy, ahoy, Captain! Land, I see! Land, I see! So, I'm gonna present to Jimmy the magical deal. So now we can use the big giant torque wrench, and our lives just got a whole lot better. And Sarah doesn't have to worry about us being quite so smelly. Because we're starting to have water come out of our faces, whatever that is. Call that thinking juice. So when we torque these head bolts down, you guys, these are the valves. These are the head bolts. 37 head bolts across here, okay? Many, many, many. And when you torque these head bolts down, you have to torque it in 3 different times. First time, I think we did like 75, then 110, and then 220. And to keep track, you have to do it all in a certain sequence, which is found in the book here. See that? That tells you, look at those numbers. Just soak that in for a second. Focus on that. That's like a puzzle. And you got to do it in that exact sequence. And to know which ones you've done, we put a dot of nail polish on each time, right? Dot, dot, dot. So Jimbus said he likes to make smiley faces, and I realized that each smiley face that we made has a different personality. Like that one there's just like, hey guys. This one over here is kind of like, hey guys. This one here is just like a Cookie Monster. Hey. And then Jim did this one, and he's like, hey guys. He seems like he might be a little torquey. Perhaps maybe been using some substances that are controlled the way he's drooling out the side of his mouth there. See that? And then this guy, anyway, see, he's like, ooh. This guy has like a beard smile. Anyway, it's kind of fun to go through, and you can comment on your own favorite little faces. Yep. That guy's like singing the blues. I'm singing the blues. That guy is missing his mouth, even though he's been torqued.
She really wants something. Yeah, the press washer.
Oh, you're talking about the motor. We're getting really close. It may not quite look like it right now, but it's actually really close. We got a lot of stuff done today. One of the exciting things I'm gonna talk about tomorrow is this little number, because it's not quite done being installed yet, but when it's done, I'm gonna tell you about it. It was a big day. We got the liners, pistons in. We got the head set on without any kind of dings, bings, or damages.
Then
Yep. Jimbo Hannon got the camshaft in, all torqued down. We got the head in, torqued down, all them little bolts.
intake manifold, exhaust manifold.
Oh yeah, you got intake manifolds on your side. I got this PDI exhaust manifold. Love this stuff on my side. In the process of getting this turbo mounted up, they've got a new turbo I'll tell you a little bit about later. So what, tomorrow we got to put rockers arms and injectors. Rockers arms. Rocker arms and injectors, which are over here and patiently waiting. I think we have till about probably like, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock tomorrow. And then I gotta buzz out for a show. There you are, big day, a lot of stuff done. There's quite a bit of footage from today that you probably got to enjoy. So I think you are a greasy man.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
It's the job.
Part of the job. Good attitude. It's Friday night, and there is pork ribs,
Pork ribs.
pork roast, which is probably
Pulled
shredded
pork.
up, pulled pork. waiting. The women have pulled through and done us some good. So when people say like women cook and that's like that's not a demeaning thing. I'm really excited to go see what kind of treasures that the women have cooked up, and I will enjoy it with my whole heart and give much and many thanks. All right, we have ho, ho, ho. Morning number 4. It's Saturday morning today. We have high hopes that this baby's gonna make some smoke here after lunch. We got a little ways to go yet, some things to do, but cross our fingers. Everything's actually gone smooth so far, knock on wood. We've kind of got everything back together, all the main things that could cause huge issues. Granted, firing it up can be an issue as well and making sure everything's timed properly. But I mean, we didn't find any major block issues where we needed to have a machinist come out and repair our block. No big snags like that. A few parts that were missing. We sent Sarah down the other day to go get parts. We needed an oil pump, wasn't part of the overhaul kit that I should have realized. They didn't, they forgot to ship the rocker arms, those kind of things. We had some of those hang-ups, and of course the Suburban is probably officially dead, which means I'm in the market for a Suburban. I hate spending money on vehicles, you guys. Oh, I hate it. There's no value out there. I think I've explained this before, but I got so much money for that. So anyway, I'll figure that one out. Other than the old Suburban, which technically wasn't even part of the overhaul, it's just been, flowing along. The other catch for today, this is our time limiter that we're up against. We have a show tonight. We're playing a wedding. Yeah, wedding singer. Did you know? The Sightliners, our band, which by the way, a lot of you have asked, hoping for an album to be out this winter. We've not quite done with all the final recordings. Still got some lead guitar work to do. Weston, remember Weston? Oh yeah. He's down there wrapping up some lead guitar stuff for us. Then it'll be off to get all in the computers. They'll go through and mix everything, make sure all the levels are the way they like. But hoping for a wintertime release. A lot of you have asked about that. The Sightliners also play weddings. Anyways, so we got to leave for that for about 2 o'clock. So it's going to be really tight to see, will we make smoke today? Will we make fire like the caveman? Will we make fire like the caveman? I know not. We'll see. We'll see. So this is what happens when you send the tourists in to get parts. Oh, baby. Low rider. Mama, you're a low rider. Look at the squat.
It's heavy.
It's just, the masses are gonna love that. That's how you use a Ford Taurus in Montana, huh? I want to understand this so much.
Don't you wear anything?
To set up.
That's awesome.
So, okay. So before that was so weird because it said to let the injector lobe go all the way high, right? And that would put the injector, puts the injector down. It says to tighten the injector all the way down and then back it off 3/4. And then adjust the valves to the sister, whatever on the chart up there. And then go to the next and raise the next lobe up for the next injector. So all this time I was thinking that you're supposed to set the injector height with the tool and adjust it while it's up. But I think you adjust it while it's down, and then as it raises up, you just check it with the height tool rather than set it with the height tool. See what I'm...
Would you like to explain what you've done on your two steps?
Did you have this epiphany already?
No, I just been adjusting them.
Because I'm just looking at that thing, those instructions right there, that page. And hey everyone. He's like, I don't want to talk. But is that what it is? Is the injector made to be adjusted in the depressed position, and then when it comes back up, stuff. But that's why they're thinking like this is the lobe that's up. This one.
And that two should be all the way down, but it's not because I already backed it all the way off.
Gotcha. But they want you to put it all the way down now. Is that correct? Is that?
And once you screw it all the way down,
And then
back it off, it's probably gonna look like that one that I set.
and that was already set.
That's what
Jimbo, that's probably the deal, man. You. Hey, just for the record, I never doubted you, even a tiny bit.
Yes, you did.
Never, Jimbus, never.
Why don't you have yellow engines?
Okay, you guys, it's day, I don't know. It's day 5, I think, isn't it? Is it technically day 5? We're gonna call it a 5 spot. Yesterday was day 4, and yesterday was good. Yesterday was great, depending who you talk to. But look at this, see that? Ah, that's the top end of the motor all buttoned up. So, we got going yesterday. Old Jimbus the Jim, the Dalmatian. I'll explain here in a moment. His name keeps evolving, and today it's going to be the Dalmatian or the skunk, one of the two. So yesterday was kind of scattered because we had a show last night. We had to leave for that show. It was a wedding show, and weddings can be tricky because they need you to come and kind of help MC and set up sound wherever they need it. And everybody's really high stress, and it's supposed to be this wonderful, loving day, but by the end of it, everyone's like, ah! So, anyway, we had to leave a little early. We go and we get this wedding done. Show's great. Skunk Man and Sarah came to the show last night. It was good. But I felt a little bad having to leave James. He got the top end put together, got the overhead set, did all the business, and I bailed. So I felt a little bad. Good things James is so friendly. I'm going to show you, this is like the true test of someone's friendliness. So now we're in the bottom side of this engine, and James is, what are you?
Yep. Got it.
Okay, first of
I'll
all,
make sure the oil didn't hit the ground.
if you were a dog, I would name you Spot because because you're either a victim of some abuse or
It gives me character.
look at that. Oh, and your arms.
Yeah.
So this oil has a very unique smell. And you guys, I'm clean because I'm gonna get dirty. I'm just promise. I'm just getting ready.
I'm about done.
So it's time to trade. So why does this oil smell so weird? What is it? And why does it smell so funny?
From 1999.
This oil on your face and in your eyeball
Some of it, yeah.
is from 1999
Some of it.
because it was up inside the main cap.
Where the bolts go through, you can't really get oil there much at all.
So it has this very, if you've never smelled it, I actually wouldn't recommend it.
It's not the greatest.
It's kind of this combo between Dalmatian and
Skunk.
gear oil, and you know how I am about describing smells. So yeah, it's time to get dirty. What's left on the, what do we got left? I have this feeling that there might be smoke coming out from underneath this truck.
We
today.
got 3 more main bearings put in, and an oil pump, oil pickup, oil pan.
Put her on, put the pan on, and I gotta put batteries in. I know that.
Oil squirters in. Yeah,
Yep.
let's go ahead.
We got the new oil nozzles, the cooling nozzles for the pistons. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure I put them in.
Yep. Okay. So we're gonna get to it, and hopefully soon you're gonna see some video footage of James's famous startups. He's famous for that. So I like tricks, and old Cumulogimbus under there just taught me a trick, and I'm gonna share it with you. It's not really my trick, definitely James's trick. But you know when you take your truck batteries apart, we're putting new batteries in. They have these new, they're like the rubber coated little coatings over these babies. Old Hot Rod under there told me to go ahead and cut these open and to take a peek at what treasures are inside. And he recommended that I always cut and remove the tips of these rubbers. So we're gonna do that and see why he felt it's so important. Oh, it did not disappoint. Look at that. See all that? That is corrosion. So 2 things. Inside of this, they have this little spacer washer deal. That spacer washer sits on top of that. So there's a spot under there where you can get some corrosion that you can never get off unless you cut the tip, you see. So remove the tip and look what you find back here in the recesses on both sides. Look at that. All that gnarly corrosion that can never get out. So we trimmed it. I'm going to take a bite of this here burrito. Oh, baby. Now I got the energy to show you. You can sand it down. Fast forward to this one, and look at that. There's only one thing better than that, you guys. You wanna know what it is? This here burrito. Finger looking good. So I'm still working on putting the batteries in, but this little guy. This is an oil nozzle. We talked about those earlier when I cleaned the old ones. We didn't know we were getting new ones. These babies squirt oil up under the wrist pins and those pistons. That piston head assembly does 2 things. It lubricates and it cools the piston off. So it's a kind of a dual purpose deal. Now, trying to think what in my life can I think of that cools and lubricates? Gold Bond medicated powder. Especially, James, when you have to use it in the hot parts of your regions. It's true. So, next time you get some Gold Bond, I want you to think of these, okay? Lubricates and cools. All right, you guys, we're in a weird spot right now. See that little guy over there? Hey, man.
Hey.
So you may be wondering, how does a 135-pound man run a torque spec that's 3 times his body weight? What's the torque spec on these?
350 to 370.
Okay, so we're set at like 365 or something. And I was getting the giggles out of this. I got the easy job holding this up, and I want you to see, how does a 135-pound man get the last click out of this stinking bolt? Come on. Come on. Don't weaken. Don't weaken, Jimbo. Oh, baby. You guys hear that? That was the click we've been looking for. There's only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 more to go.
Oh, awesome.
Huh? You're wondering about the rattle cans. Cool little thing about our local CarQuest. They will, oh, that feels good. Our local CarQuest, you can get automotive paint, that's engine paint, and they'll mix it up for you and then put it in a spray cans for stuff like this. So you get the goodness of metallic, beautiful paint in a spray can. Look at that rain down there past the rain. That's not us. Don't worry, we just get 1 or 2 them beautiful bombing showers a year. They got womped on. They got womped on. Anyway, the way it is, but I think you're gonna like the paint scheme of this engine when it's all done. Okay, you guys, I think we're there. We got everything's on. We got the piping on. We got the air. When I say piping, I'm talking about the air intake. It's on. Turbo's on. Oil pan's on. Oil's in. Everything's there. It's all good. This is the moment, you guys. This is the entire week's work. Everything we've been doing, we've been here, we've been going, and it's all boiling down to this little moment where we have to crank this thing up. Now, when we crank it, here's what we're gonna do. First things first, we're going to unplug the timing sensors. That will keep the engine from starting. Now, you're probably going, why would you want to keep the engine from starting? Because you're trying to start it. Here's why. We're gonna crank the engine over and let it build oil pressure, because all of these new passages, you know, all the oil, the little oil galleys and tubing and whatnot through all the pieces and parts, all of that needs new oil through it. So we're just going to crank it slow, because as you crank the engine, that new oil pump will start pumping oil throughout the system. We're going to do that until it builds oil pressure on the gauge in the cab, okay? And that'll show us that everything's moving oil through it. Everything's working. Now, like if we did that and there was no pressure building, then it would be like, oh, we better hold on. Let's figure out what's going on. That's not the case. So we're gonna crank that up. We're going to build some oil pressure, and then once that oil pressure is built, we'll go ahead and plug in our timing sensors again, get those babies back where they belong, and we'll see what happens. No, this is like, you have to do it. You have to do it, but it's scary. But we have to do it. So cross your fingers, you guys. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of patience from old Jimbo Dean, and it's all here coming down to this moment. Let's go. You may have been wondering, as we've been overhauling this thing, are we doing anything to it? Now, you know, when I say to it, I'm talking like some special little juicy things. Did that narrow it down for you? Here's my personal beliefs with modifying engines. I think that doing engine modifications is very smart. When I'm talking about modifications, what I mean is horsepower enhancements, okay? There are things that you can do. There are both hard parts, meaning actual parts on the engine, and there's software, okay? So the hard parts would be like, you know, different injectors that flow differently, or a turbo that's set up a little differently to flow air better, an exhaust manifold. That would be hardware examples. Software examples would be like a tuning program, meaning that you can get into the computer that runs this engine and you can tweak and put a different program in that tells it how to run a little differently, okay? I'm actually a proponent of modifying trucks with a big but, okay? If you modify your rig and you want to just run pedal to the floor and you want to blow black smoke up every hill that you climb and you want to drive 85 hammer down nonstop, I think that modifying your truck will lead to a lessening of the lifespan. It'll cause you to need to overhaul it much sooner. And I don't think that you will gain anything by doing it other than you will go faster up the hills, okay? Now, so you may be wondering from that, well, what's the point of modifying an engine? The point of modifying an engine is that if driven like an old timer, modifying an engine can be a very beneficial thing to fuel mileage. So let me give you an example. The truck that I was driving before Cody came over and is driving for me now, that Freightliner Cascadia, it has this same engine in it, old school Series 60 Detroit. Now that's all modified. We did some things to it and I drove it literally like an elderly person. Nothing against you elderly folks, because that's how I drive. I am with you. I am you. I just still have color in my hair. If you drive a modified truck very lightly, if when you get into the big monster hills, you pull it as if you don't have all the power, you ease up the hills, you use that extra power to just kind of keep you going steady through the rolling hills and the rolling terrain, you will find that your fuel mileage will go through the roof with a modified engine driven properly. So I'm a fuel mileage hound, which is why I'm driving these aerodynamic trucks instead of the long nose stuff that, or the cab overs all the time that you see. So with fuel being so expensive, modifications are more important now than ever. So with that, I want to tell you what I've done to this engine, okay? So don't mind the blue pipe. This is Detroit blue. That's old Detroit green. We're updating to blue. And we're gonna have some other little things in there for you to look at paint-wise. But here's what we got when it comes to the engine, okay? We've got under here, and you saw me put this on earlier, I got a good clip of it. This is the exhaust manifold under there, okay? See that beautiful silver? That's the exhaust manifold. So when the exhaust comes out of your engine, it flows through that. Now the factory manifold, which is this guy right here, is not designed quite as free-flowing as it could be. So company called PDI down in Utah, Jared Whitwer, who I've become friends with. And you guys will remember, if you look back on my videos, Jared Whitwer made a huge donation personally in giving us a load of hay when we ran out. We completely ran out of hay last spring. Jared called up asking, how's your hay looking? Because he knew we were short. And he said, come down to St. George. Well, it wasn't St. George, but he said, come down to Utah and load up some hay and take it back and get yourself through the winter. And it was really humbling. And you can see that video. It's posted back there on the channel from earlier. Jared's a great friend. Not only is he a great friend, he built this company, PDI, from the ground up. He's just a good old boy, literally, and he built it from the ground up. Has become a dear friend. So I got my hardware and my software both from Jared at PDI for this. So we put a manifold, they've designed a manifold that flows air much more freely than this does, okay? Everything in trucks is about flow, okay? You want everything to flow. The exhaust manifold feeds the turbo, okay? So the exhaust goes from the manifold into this turbo where it spins a turb. You see why they call it a turbo now? A turbine. It spins a little turbine wheel in there, woo, super fast. That turbine wheel powers a companion wheel inside of this air compressor. Okay, so fresh air comes in here, all cleaned out of the air filter, flows down into the compressor, whoop, right there. The exhaust from the turbo spins the wheel, gets that air all powered up, shoots it through, cools it off on a little radiator on the front called a charge air cooler. Around the engine to the other side, shoots it into the engine, helps it burn clean, all right? So when I called Jared up, I said, hey, I love the setup that I'm running on my other Series 60. I want to get those parts as well and put them on this one. And he says, you got to wait a little longer. We've just refined the turbo for the Series 60. So he sent me just the latest, newest upgrade is what I ended up ordering. I'm excited about the stuff. I'm excited to get this thing on the road and see how all these parts perform. I also have some software from Jared that we ordered, and that'll come in the way of a computer program, and I'll show you that later. We can't put that in until this has about 10,000 miles on it, but when that day comes, you can be sure that I'll post about it. I'm hoping that when this thing's all set up, it's gonna run between 6 and 7.5 miles per gallon, which to you sounds really bad, but to a trucker sounds really good. So anyway, that's kind of a rundown on the modifications that we made. You know, here's the thing with modifications, and some people might say this. They'll be like, I had some parts, whether it was PDI parts or I had some parts from whoever. A lot of people have the tendency to get a motor that's very tired. Maybe their first truck, they talk to some people about,
Man, I want to turn this thing up and have some juice.
so they take this old tired motor home. They take the motor home, they do some modifications, mostly just they get a computer program and turn it up like 300 horsepower. And then they just lay the wood to that old engine, and the engine will blow up. And then they're like, whoever's parts, you know, they purchased, they're like, well, that company's junk because I put their parts on my engine and a week later it blew up. And you guys know what I'm talking about. So some people will have bad opinions of mod companies, performance companies, but if you use these products and you use them properly, like old grandpa would, that's me. You'll have great luck. Do you mind just filming that, getting the wide angle from back there? It's pretty good. My biggest pet peeve of all time is the shifting videos on social media. They're like, stop! You gotta make a living with that truck, man. It's gotta last you for a long time.
I don't do it.
You do make a living by driving like that. So we're out on our test drive. We're 20 miles in. That's all I'm gonna say. I've learned being around James. You don't state anything beyond what you're doing. Don't state your opinion about it. Don't state whether you feel like it's going good or bad. Just state what is happening. We're test driving this truck. 20 miles in. First 20 miles was downhill. Now we've turned around and we got a 20-mile pull. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say so far, and I was like, no. You're just driving. We'll take. Give everybody a little shot of Montana. No, it's okay. I want to kind of change angles a little bit. Try to. I have no idea what that's going to capture, but we'll just let that roll with the sprinkling some B-roll.
Just pointed at us. And Sarah.
Sarah, you're going to be the star of this angle.
In my, sorry I'm late. My cat was sitting on me. Make my mom super
All right, guys, so we're still rocking and rolling. Air conditioning's working very well, which is great.
We didn't touch that.
Oil pressure, yeah, we didn't touch the AC, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't have problems. Oil pressure's right up there at about 55 to 57. Water hasn't got over 180. I was kind of hoping we could kind of warm it up a little, but that's that. My fuel gauge is about an eighth of a tank, and that's where it's gonna stay because I'm not quite ready to put $1,000 into this truck yet until I'm using it for work. But we're still rolling. She still sounds like a Detroit.
It's a good thing.
I was thinking about getting I have a shift extender. once in a while, what I was thinking about, because this one's straight. And they're about up to here. Do you get some of those guys into the shop?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. One of my customers is shorter than me, and the seat's on the ground. And I know he can't see over the dash.
Oh man.
And he went and got the twin stick,
Oh.
where you can take the high-low.
Yeah, where they just do the,
it's
yeah,
a whole
it's not
nother,
a true.
It's a whole nother stick. Yeah,
Just a-
for $1,000.
That's what it costs?
Something else to do with that. But
Yeah.
it's still up here. They call it a stripper pole. That's what they call it.
Do they? Let's
Bradley
clear
has
up.
one, doesn't he?
Huh?
Bradley has one.
Yeah. So
He's
Willie.
I mean, I know Willie
Have you
loves-
seen the trucks yet now? And I don't think this is catching on necessarily. I think it's just a thing. But some guys are putting little stubby shifters clear down on the floor. Have you seen that yet? I'm like, eh.
That seems like
I don't
that
want to
would
reach
be
down and shift.
effective.
Yeah.
But it makes the throw shorter.
Yeah.
You can race
Yeah,
quicker.
it would. Yeah. But I have that extender. It's not extreme. It's probably about here. You know, just something. But I didn't like it in the Peterbilt because Peterbilt sticks way up there in the dashboard where it starts. So you put that extension on, and it like felt like it just made the shifter too heavy.
They do, because it is more weight. You gotta think the engineer designed that for a reason.
Right.
So now you're gonna put all that weight onto the whole top of your
This one's pretty straight up and down, so I don't feel quite so bad about it. Here's a little hill. One thing I've noticed is we're not getting any strange odors through the air conditioning anymore. Which probably
from
means
your blow-by? Your blow-by is understanding.
Yeah.
Fix that problem.
That, like the when we fired up last night, the turbo was just kind of smoking because they spray it with oil to send it to keep it nice and fresh and keep the corrosion out. And so that when that oil heats up, it's just like a steaming turbo. It's pretty sweet.
Even when you first pulled out of the driveway, you still had some odor, but now there's nothing.
Yeah, I noticed that when we pulled on the road. Dakota and the Bakken, they got pretty. I don't think it's that kind of a thing here, but it got pretty nasty over there. I'm sure.
They're trying to get me to go out there and do some pipeline stuff.
Really. Tell you what, you could have back in the day, like in 06, 07, 08, 10 probably. Just living in a camper doing diesel work on the side of the road out there. You could have made a fortune. Yeah. Of course, that was because people are like the same about trucking. They're like, oh, if you could have trucked back in 08 out there. Well, I was like 23 years old. I was like, I didn't have trucks and trailers and money. I didn't have nothing. I was like, I'm not gonna go drive for someone in the oil field. But so now, if I was how I am now, and an oil field popped up that close to here, I'd be like, oh yeah, go over
right there.
just hammer for a year. And I mean, there's stories of guys that went out there, made like $600,000-$700,000 with their truck in a year, and then of course they're like, I'm gonna get 2 trucks. Oh, so they bought another one.
Yep.
And then the big companies moved in and all the rates leveled out to where all that crazy money was gone. They all came home with nothing. I'm like, how do you go make that much money and you
lose it all?
come home with nothing?
Greed.
And I mean, those stories were a dime a dozen from the oil field.
Oh, yeah.
Even on a lesser level, now $30 an hour doesn't seem so crazy, but out there, you go work 80 hours a week at $30 an hour under the table and all that, and they'd make all this money and they'd buy a brand new pickup and blah blah, and
Blow it all.
the oil field settles down and they've got nothing left.
But a whole lot of people that are individual truck owners, 1 or 2, they aren't necessarily business people.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
they're good truckers, but
Great truckers, but yeah, when it comes to
don't know how to manage the money cake. He's got a couple friends like that.
yeah, and that's actually probably more common than not. I would say most struggle
I would say
with
you're
that.
more the anomaly.
Kind of a white buffalo.
Yeah.
Nothing racial intended. It's just the white buffalo is a spiritual sign to the Indians. So when they see the red buffalo,
Just a bit.
it's a sign. Well, I'm gonna just nose her in and look things over.
Alright.
You're like, no, no, I don't want to look.
He's like, it's fine. We don't have to up the hood. Why would you want to look under the hood?
Nothing to see here, folks. made it in. Well, you guys, here we are. Huh? Wasn't that pretty cool? I tell you what, I'm pretty doggone proud, pretty pleased. I mentioned it already, but I'll say it one last time. That's been something that I've always wanted to do my entire life. You saw us from bringing the truck in, to tearing the motor down, to putting parts in, resealing everything, torquing bolts, doing the deal, sealing things up. And we did it, and we got it, we fired it up. Things are well. James and Sarah went back to North Carolina. I took the truck out last week. I had some local hauling to do. Some big heavy loads, like some big ones. They were 115,000 pound loads, fairly locally here. It was about an 80 mile, 70 mile loaded run, and made several trips back and forth breaking this thing in. I was in a good place where should something arise, I'm fairly close to home or close to help. And so we gave it a good workout, and everything functioned and operated as it should. So now we're gonna take it another step. I'm leaving here in a little bit to head out on a big run from South Dakota to California and back to Montana. Big circle this week. And we'll just continue to monitor things and see how they go. I learned so much. You know, it wasn't as much of a how-to video as it was here for you just to observe and enjoy, and maybe inspire you that you can do some more stuff on your own. If you're, you know, granted here's the thing, where are you ever gonna find a mechanic to come spend a week with you and let you work over his shoulder? Like, a shop is not gonna allow that. It was such a perfect storm, and it really was a storm. I wanna talk about that in a second. But it was this perfect storm of greatness that allowed James to come out and do this. It's been really great. Oh, so that's that. This now, I mentioned before that I was gonna be using my blue cab over, the International, to haul cows. I still haven't found a cow trailer, by the way. I think I've given up. I think I'm just gonna try to find one to rent for a little while. But I was gonna use the blue truck. I've changed course. I'm going to use this truck because everything's under warranty, motor-wise, you know, parts and things. And I really wanna get this truck established as my over-the-road truck, make sure that it's all fully functional, everything's great. So because of that, I will be using, this is my main truck this fall. Cody will be in Charlie Brown, the Cascadia, and the blue truck will be the first on deck in case we have any issues or have to put either one of the semis in the shop. That's the one that'll come out and be ready to rock and roll. So you guys, real quick, this is the end of the video, obviously. Doing an outro. Matt, the editor, has given me enough flack that here's a good official outro. I want to talk about something serious, okay? So here's what it is. And this is with the permission of James. I want to share with you a little bit more about why James was here and how it came to be that we got close enough to feel comfortable having him out here. James called me last winter. Believe it was, let's say early in the year, January. I may be a little off there, but anyway, James called me in the middle of the night. And that's always, whenever you get a call in the middle of the night, it's never typically a good thing. It's always an emergency of some sort. And James was having an emergency. That's the simple way to put it. Prior to James making this phone call, he had really gotten into a tough spot. He's had a hard life. He's had a hard upbringing. And that, of course, has led to some decisions in his life over the years that, you know, some have been good, a lot have not been good. And that kind of sets you on a certain path in your life. And he'll be the first one to tell you this. He's committed to allowing his story to be shared with you because he wants to try to create some good from it. So he had gotten to a spot, you know, let's call it a year ago, where he had lost everything, okay? He had lost his place of business. He had lost his tools, his ability to make a living. It was all gone, and it was taken in a fashion that was so abrupt and unfair and just distressing that it really put him in a hard spot. He had lost tools and the business, the place of business, and also his relationship at the same time. It all was connected in this horrible, just this terrible situation. And you know, a lot of us out there have a lot of support from family and people around us, and that's a huge blessing. And I hope you recognize that in your life if you're lucky enough to have a good, solid support system around you. Not everyone's blessed with that. Not everyone is lucky enough to have that in their life. And James is one of those people. He was at a spot where he had literally hit the rock bottom. Every possible horrible thing you could dream of in life to him had happened in that moment. And he had nothing left. He had nothing left to live for. He had nothing else, had nowhere to go, had no support system, didn't know what to do. And in that moment, James called me. Now, James and I had become friends over social media through Instagram for years and years and years, to the point where we'd exchanged phone numbers several years ago. And we'd chit chat here and there, never too deep and serious, but, you know, things about trucking and mechanics and whatnot. And because of that, locked away in James's mind somewhere was the feeling that I was someone that he could reach out to. And I'm not sharing this with you to boast or blow my horn, but just to share with you the reality of this scenario. And in that moment where James was at the lowest low, in the middle of the night, he reached out. And I am so thankful that I picked up the phone. We talked, and I did a lot of listening and a lot more listening, and just opened my heart and had a lot of compassion for his situation. And of course, through that, we began to communicate. I knew he was in a very, I'm going to call it a very dangerous spot. He was on thin ice. And so, you know, over the next several weeks, we stayed in very close contact, constant contact. And things weren't really getting better, but he had a little bit of support. So as things got going for him, and we started to develop a plan, and I said, you know what, I think something that will be really great for you is to come here to Montana and come spend some time. You have no place to go, you have no place to stay. Why don't you come out here and we'll build some trucks, we'll do some diesel work, and I always have stuff to do here as far as mechanicing goes, so let's knock out some projects. So we began to make plans for that. Now, another great blessing occurred in James's life, and that was that he met Sarah in that same time. And Sarah has a huge heart, like tremendous, tremendous compassion, just so much care. And the way that they met was like so bizarre that it was definitely divine. Anyway, that's a story for another time, but they met, and Sarah has been a great influence in James's life, and she's got him on some really, really solid footing, some solid ground, to where it was no longer an emergency situation. He had a constant staying force in his life. So things kind of got pushed off as far as needing to come out here right away, but we kept it on because it's something that we wanted to do. And finally things lined up, schedules lined up, that he was able to come out here, and we were able to fulfill and finish this job that we wanted to do together. I'm sharing this with you because I want you to understand, I know this is a long outro, trying to make up for lost time. I'm sharing this with you because I want you guys to understand that if somebody reaches out to you in your circle, even somebody that's on the fringe of your circle, please be there for them. It's a rare opportunity in your life to get that chance to really be there for someone. And I'm not talking about necessarily if they're at their lowest low. There's a lot of people having a lot of struggles and a lot of problems in this world, and it's not getting any better. It's just getting worse and more difficult. So I want you to be aware, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, be aware to what's going on around you, okay? Be aware to people's needs. Be aware to possible situations where all you got to do is listen. You need to be there to listen. Maybe you'll have a greater opportunity to help, but be there to listen. You guys, I'm so thankful for you, for your support and your care and your kindness. It's a lot of work to share all this with everybody. YouTube is a lot of work. Maintaining a channel is a lot of work. You try to put out content regularly, it's so time consuming. And there's often times where I wonder, like, why am I doing this? But then I get messages or emails or things from people that talk about how again, this sounds silly, but how inspired they can be by some of the things that they've encountered in the channel. And that's why I share that with you. That's why I share with you, you know, a lot of things that are fairly private. I mean, it's my life, and I'm sharing it with you in the hopes that it will help inspire and motivate. Anyway, you guys, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. That was a 10-minute outro. I don't even know what we got upcoming next. More trucking. There's always more trucking. We'll see how this old girl does. You guys, till next time, be good and be there for someone.